Hello, Merry Meet. First of all, sorry for the lighting. I have been adjusting this back and forth, but I can't seem to get the light from my terrace door from shining on my camera, but just the way it is. And when it's finally sunny in Norway, we don't complain about such things. Anyway, the topic today is basically magical notebooks. Book of Mirrors, Book of Shadows, Grimoires, and so on and so forth. I've seen a few YouTube videos about that lately, so it seems to be a thing that's being discussed, so I thought I would weigh in my 2 cents about it. Basically, of course, one of the videos that I saw discussed the differences between a grimoire and a Book of Shadows. Well, really, it's just different names for the same thing. In Norway, it is called Svarteboka, which just basically translates as the Black Book. And basically, what it is a book of spells. It's a recipe book of spells, rituals, and lore. Now, there are some differences between a grimoire and a Book of Shadows, in my opinion. And basically, a Book of Shadows is more like a religious book. It's a Bible that you write yourself. Basically, as you go along your pagan path. And the Book of Shadows is particularly a thing within neo-paganism, Wicca-style neo-paganism, and the various paths that have come from that. And basically, as you walk around on your path, truths are revealed to you. You discovered what sort of rituals do you like to use to celebrate the various holidays, the days of power. What sort of circle casting do you prefer? And this then you write down in your Book of Shadows, and it becomes, and also information about the gods you worship, all the different things that you need for your path. Now, sometimes Coven will have its own Book of Shadows, and then share that Book of Shadows with the other members, so that it's sort of a common thing is either A, that a coven have a communal Book of Shadows and every member have a copy of that. Another common thing is that basically the members of a coven copy from one another's Book of Shadows, so that while each have their own, they sort of have a collected works of the various members. So you either have that, but if you're solitary, then you generally have your own personal Book of Shadows, which basically becomes it tells about your path. For me, I do have a Book of Shadows, though currently I just have a notebook. I can show it actually because I think I have it here. Not gonna show all that's in it, but I just use one of these notebooks here. They hold a lot of information. Yeah, whenever I make up a spell, I see a spell in a book, I see a spell online, something like that, I just write it up in this book. And yeah, eventually, and I have several books like that. I have a bit of a hoarder tendency when it comes to nice looking notebooks and make them into Book of Shadows. And yeah, just collecting all the spells. So basically, eventually, I'm going to get one of those really, really nice ones, hand-bound thingies, and write up basically the spells I use the most, and basically use it to reflect my individual path. I am probably also going to have a Book of Shadows that are not personal, basically. And for that, I'm just planning on having a big black ring binder and just having the information that will be a book of shadows that I can share if I eventually take students. If people wonder about what a pagan path is, I can show them that. While my personal book of shadows are for me alone. Like, for example, I did show you one page, but it's one page that didn't have a lot of information that I cared. If anyone see there are information in that book I don't want to share. So, but anyway, yeah. Um, I seem to be a bit rambling today. And if you hear that, that's just a helicopter running over the neighborhood. Anyway, excuse my rambling. Basically, so a book of shadows is sort of a reflection of your path. It is the spells, rituals, information on the gods, anything that basically becomes your truth. Because within neo-paganism, we don't so much believe in a single unified truth as some religions do. We believe that truth is something that comes to the seeker when the seeker is ready. And as such, you have to sort of make that for yourself. So yeah. Now, how does this differ from a grimoire? Well, it doesn't. A grimoire too is a book of rituals, spells, and information. But you can say it is more focused as a spell book and sometimes also focused on a single working. For example, a lot of the classical grimoires of ceremonial magic are these tiny little things with only a few pages because what they are one working and the various rituals, purifications, and so on that are needed for that particular working. Um, so yeah, others are just more generally. Basically, these are the rituals for that path. So I would say that a book of shadows is more an individual pagan or a covenant. And not all pagans, of course, but basically the typical neo-pagan. Is it's a reflection of their own path. It becomes their personal Bible, while a grimoire is more like a cookbook of spells and or rituals, and it can be very very focused. Like this is the cookbook for making this particular dish and all that comes with it, or it can be more like focused on a topic like wok or Asian dishes, if you get the analogy here. So it's more focused on the ritual and the magic, while a Book of Shadows are more focused on the spirituality. Though, of course, there are very gliding, it's no hard and fast limit here, and whatever or not you want to call your book a Book of Shadows or a book of or a grimoire, that really is up to you. I mean, my first one, I just called the Norwegian word of Svarteboka. So yeah. Now, I also mentioned a book of mirrors. Not everybody has this. Most neo-pagans I know have or plan to have a book of shadows. Not everybody have a book of mirrors. So what's a book of mirrors? Well, a book of mirrors is basically a log. It's your A lot of people use the book of shadows for this. I prefer to separate it out. Basically, it is a book that you can write up rituals you do, spells you do, exercises you do. It's basically, magical diary, logbook, and so on and so forth. Book of Mirrors is the neo-pagan name for it, but well, you can use about anything. Magical diary, whatever. Now, a lot of people do separate these out into topics. They can, for example, have a tarot book where they record their tarot readings, dream diary where they record their dreams, and so on. I usually just put it all into one book. I find it easier that way. I just have this one book and I go through them. Like I said, I have a fascination with notebooks. I go through them in an alarming pace. But yeah, it's just a logbook. And many people also hold these logbooks on the computer and so on and so forth. So that's the Book of Mirrors. It's called the Book of Mirrors because it sort of mirrors your path. If if the Book of Shadows are your cookbook, then your Book of Mirrors are your diary. So yeah, and the benefits at with keeping a Book of Mirrors is that you can basically then go back and see things like, oh, on Tuesdays at rising moons, I tend to be better with energy work, while on Wednesdays, when the moon is black, I tend to be better with banishings. You can basically then go back, you can even make statistics or how well you do various forms of exercises, rituals, all kinds of magical work, and see what times are you better at it. And you can also see your progression over time. It's just a very useful tool to have. So, a final note, I do not think that the name you use for your magical book is important. I don't think it's important whatever or not you do it like I do, and I have a Book of Shadows and a Book of Mirrors. Uh, but that I have a tendency to just throw everything in my Book of Mirrors. I mean, I have my green diary there, I have my tarot diary there, all of it just in one book, simply, or if you separate that into different books. I don't think it matters how you do it. I know there's been some arguments that this is the right way, that is the right way, and yada yada yada. I don't think it really matters. I think what matters is that you find the way that works best for you and use that. So yeah, that's my short little video that didn't turn out that short about magical notebooks of various kinds. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Have a great day and blessed be.